Hello and welcome. In this video we are going to use this 7-segment display to display a number depending on the reading of the analogical signal here on my Arduino card provided by this infrared sensor. So the infrared sensor is going to detect an obstacle, it's going to provide a measurement of the distance from the sensor to the obstacle to the analogical input in my Arduino card, and then we are going to send this data using the binary digital outputs to control my 7-segment display. Now, really something important is to identify the 7-segment display you may use. Remember, in my case, I am using a common anode 7-segment display. That means that all the positive connectors of my display are together in connection number 3 and connection number 8. So I need to provide positive connection to port number 3 or port number 8, and then in order to activate the LED on port A, B, C, D, etc., I should provide a negative signal, a low signal, 0 volts signal. It's important to identify this because if you have another model and yours it's a common cathode display, something like this, you need to provide negative connection to the common port, and then you activate the elements on the display by providing a positive signal. That's why it's important, first of all, identify the display you may use. Now, if you check my circuit, I am going to use the digital input ports to send the activation signal on my 7-segment display. If you remember, this is port number 1, the port connection opposite to the dot. If you don't remember, we can check the diagram. Actually, this is it. This is the proper diagram. Here is my dot. So in the opposite side of my dot, we got port number 1. I don't want to open it. Well, okay, maybe yes. And it controls the A display on my actually the A LED of my display. So my port number 6 on my Arduino card, it's going to control pin number 1, that is this LED. Then port number 5 controls this. If you want to check the circuit again, port number 2 it's for D, this one. Port number 4 it's for C. So my port 4 is going to control C, and I'm not going to control the dot because I don't need it. It's important to get all these ports in order, because in order to display the proper number or the proper symbol, we need to activate the LEDs in the proper order. Then we need to send the proper combination on all these ports from port 2 to port 8. Let's say, for example, I want to display number 1. So I need to turn this on and this on. They are B and C. So I need to activate port number 6 and port number 4. Then only port number 6 and only port number 4 connected to my display should be activated. Finally, on my digital, actually on my analogical input A0, I'm going to connect my infrared sensor. Remember, this infrared sensor is going to detect the distance from the sensor to the obstacle, and then this signal goes to the analogical input. You get the data, and depending on this data, you control the display to show a number according to the distance. Now, only for this example, students, because I want to keep this circuit as simple as possible, we are going to use this 330 ohms resistance in the common connection, port number 3. It could be on port number 8. It's up to you. I use it on port number 3. I use my 330 ohms. If you check the videos on my channel, you may learn that this resistance is not correct. Okay? There should be another value here in order to use this element efficiently. Because on your kit you only have 330 ohms and 220 ohms, and I want to keep this circuit simple, we are going to use this resistance value in the common connection, and it is going to be used for a short period of time. Remember, this is not efficient and this is not correct. This is only for this example. If you want to get a deeply explanation of this, the proper value and the proper connection, I recommend you to check the videos about 7-segment display theory and 7-segment display resistance mathematics calculation. But well, this is the circuit for my 7-segment display challenge, and then I'm going to start building this this circuit. First of all, I'm going to put my 7-segment display in the breadboard. You can choose any position, it's up to you. Let's say here. So all you need to do is to put the legs inside of the holes and push the display inside of the holes. Be careful, please. Be careful, check that all the connection ports enter only to a single hole in the breadboard in the two sides of the breadboard, because sometimes you may not be careful. You may have something like this, two legs together, and then you push these two legs, you see, into a single connection port. And yes, of course, if you push hard enough, they are going to enter, and then this element might not work properly. So please be careful, pay attention, check that every connection port is connected to a single hole in both sides of the breadboard, like this. And that's it. Now all I need to do is to provide the connection to control the elements on my display. If you remember, the port number 1, it's the port located on the opposite side of my dot. So here is my dot, and then this port connection, this one, let me try to remove and get the pointer. This one is port number 1. So if we check the circuit I provide you, and this is really important, because if you want to use my circuit and my program, port number 6 on my Arduino card should be connected to port number 1. So we need to be careful on this. We need to make it properly in order to make this work. So I look for my port number 6 on the digital connections in my card, and then I'm going to use the orange one. This is the orange port number 6 in my port number 1 of my 7-segment display. This is the first port, this one. So I put it in the same line in my breadboard. You see, you need to be really careful. You need to pay a lot of attention on this in order to make it correctly, because if you commit a mistake, your circuit might not work properly. So if we go back to my diagram, we identify port numbers, port number 5, it's connected to port number 2 on the 7-segment display. So I'm going to use purple also. I got purple, fortunately. Here it is, my purple. Let's go back. Remember, 5 to port 2. 5 from the Arduino to port number 2 on the 7-segment display. So 5 from the Arduino next to 6, this one, 5 goes to port number 2 on my 7-segment display. Okay, there it is. Remember, orange it's port 1 and purple it's 2. If you remember, port number 3, it's for my resistance, and it is, for this model, it has a common positive connection. So my resistance goes from positive, this positive, and then it goes to the third connection on my 7-segment display. I put it out for you just to show you the connections. Usually the proper way should be like this, fully inside of the holes. I put this out just to show you the connections. So the next one, it's port number 4 from my display, and luckily it is connected to port number 4 on my Arduino card. So let's try to make this faster. I'm going to use orange again, and then from port number 4 on my Arduino card, this is port number 4, goes to this one, to the number 4 in my 7-segment display, and that's it. The next one, port number 5, it's to control the dot. This time I'm not going to use the dot, so I'm going to put all the connections inside, and we need to continue with the connections on this side. So I'm going to take this out just to show you the connections, and the next one is this. Look up in the dot, we go back to my circuit, and up the dot, this one should be connected to port number 3, and the next one to port number 2. So I'm going to do it really fast because I need to hurry. I don't want to spend too much time here. So port number 3 got my blue connection. I will show you. Please let me connect it first. There it is. Okay, let me make it bigger. Just remember, the number 3 goes to this and the number 2 goes to this. So now in my, give me a second, let me change the screen. There it is. Number 3, port number 3, the blue one, this one, goes into this connection. You remember this one? Let me put it inside just to be sure, because I don't want it to move. There it is. So it goes here. You see this leg, it's in the same line with this connection, and that's it. And the next one goes to port number 2. Here it is, from port number 2, the white connector, port number 2, to the next one from the blue one connection, like this. And then now we just need to provide 2 more connections, that is from port number 7 to this, and number 8 to the last one. So that's going to be really easy. I need more. This should be port number 7. Port number 7, it's this one, the last one on this part, 7, and it goes, remember, in the middle it's the common connection, so I'm not going to connect this. I need to put it in the next one. Be really careful, don't get confused. Look, in the middle there is a missing connection because there it is the common connector. You see, that's the missing connection. And finally, this one goes to port number 8. There it is. The last one goes to port number 8. That's it. I got all the connections to control my 7-segment display. Very good. Now all I need to do, let me show you the circuit again. All I need to do is to connect my sensor. We got this resistance here. Let me show you. This one is here, so we got it. We need to provide positive and negative and the signal. We may be able to connect this directly to the positive and the negative in the Arduino, no, my bad, in the breadboard. So black one goes to negative, goes to the blue connections, red one goes to the red line, and this yellow we may be able to connect it directly to port A0 here in the Arduino card. But the problem is that this is not so tight attached, so I don't want this because this may produce a malfunction on my circuit. Then I'm going to connect this on any line in my breadboard, and from this I'm going to use a jumper. This time I'm going to use a brown jumper. From here, you see, same line connection, the power connection of my sensor went off. Don't worry, I will put it back later. First of all, focus. The brown one, it's in the same line with the yellow, and now the brown second side goes to the A0 port, like this. And this is better. Remember, we can get the yellow one and put it directly here, but there is no, it's not good. We don't have a good mechanical attachment, and I don't want to get any trouble, so I include an extra jumper. And then I need to put the power back. Remember, negative to blue, positive to red. And I guess that's it. Yes, it looks like that's all I need for my circuit. No, I need to provide power from my Arduino to the breadboard. So 5 volts, red connection to positive. Be careful, pay attention. It should be the 5 volts. It should be port 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the negative goes to the blue connection. Let me change the focus so maybe this can be easier for you. Well, I guess it's the same. Okay. The wires are in the way, but I guess you may be able to check this working. Here is my sensor, here is my Arduino card, and here is my 7-segment display. I want to send the program into my Arduino card, so I connect the USB port, and let's go to the program window. Let me close this. I need this, but this is not the program, okay? I need to open the proper program, and for me this program is located on this okay, I don't like this, but okay, let's check it. Here, challenges 7, and this is it, I hope. Yes, this is it. This is the proper program. Do not pay attention to this. I used it previously for some explanation. And now this is my program. Allow me to explain you this program. I include these students, the serial port. If you remember this from challenge 2, we use it to send data through the serial port to the computer. I use it only for diagnose, okay? Just in case you got any trouble, I'm going to use this to identify any problem on your circuit. So for you it's not so important. What is important is that I am going to use the A0 analog input for my analog reading. If you check your circuit, that's correct. We use A0. And then I'm going to control my A element on my 7-segment display. Let me show you. This is A, it's port number 7 on my display. It's going to be controlled by my port number 2 on my card. So let's see the number, the A, that it's the number, so I forgot it, sorry, A number 7 on my display. This one is going to be controlled by port number 2 of my card. That's it. Element A of my display is going to be controlled by my port number 2 in the card. Port number 2, the blue one, controls this, that this connector is for my A element. You see? The next one says my port number 3 is going to control my V element on my display. So my port number 3, the light blue, it's connected to this port on my display, and this connection is to control the V element. So if you follow all these instructions, you may be able to identify that every port is used to control a specific segment on my 7-segment display. And then I'm going to store the reading from my infrared sensor in this variable. It's going to be an integer variable. I choose the name sensor value, but you can change this name as you wish. And I provide an original value. This is not so important because as soon as I get a reading from my sensor, this value is going to change. So you can use any random value here. I choose 0 because I like 0, but okay. Now, here, students, I specify that my port number 2 that is going to be used to control the A segment on my display, it's going to be an output. The same for B, C, D, A, F, G. And this again, it's to set the baud rate of the serial port. Remember, I use this to diagnose your circuit, so you should not pay attention. Now, inside of the loop, I'm going to get an analog reading. I'm going to read an analog signal from my sensor pin. If you remember, sensor pin, it's A0. And I'm going to store this value on my variable sensor value. If you remember, originally I stored the serial value here, but as soon as I got a reading from my analog signal, I got a value. And then this is for diagnose. I send this data to my serial port. The value is, and I display this value. I'm going to use this to diagnose your circuit, but also you can use it to see if your circuit is working or not. What is important is this, students. If my reading from my infrared sensor is below 100, I'm going to turn on, remember, because my display has the positive connections all together. I need to activate the segments by sending a negative signal, a 0 volt signal. This is a low signal. So if I send a low signal here, the LED on the A position is going to turn on. If I send a load here, the V is going to turn on. So look, I am turning on A, B, C, D, A, F, and I keep only the segment G off. So let's check this on the display. I'm going to turn on A, B, C, D, A, and F. So I'm going to display as 0 because all these are going to be on and only this is going to be off. So for values below 100, I'm going to display a 0 number on my 7-segment display. Now, from a value from 100 to 200, I'm going to display, or actually I'm going to turn on only B and C. So I'm going to turn this and this on. It's like a number 1. So I'm going to display a number 1 for this value range. And if you check all the ranges, I'm going to display a number 2 here, number 3 here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And I'm going to get a reading every second. So basically, this is how my circuit works. Then all I need to do is to send the program to my circuit, to my Arduino card. So remember, always select Tools, Port, and select the proper Arduino Uno port. Usually you get this automatically, but sometimes it changes, and if you don't pay attention to this, you may get an error message. So it's a good practice to check this every time you want to send the program. Select the proper port, select the proper board Arduino Uno, and now we send the program by this. Upload the program. If you click the verify program, this is only going to check your program, the syntaxes, the text on your program. But this is not going to send the program in your Arduino card. If you click here, it is going to check the syntaxes and it is going to send the program. So be sure that you click this. Remember, we need to remove the power from the Arduino card before we send the program into the Arduino card. So let me show you. Okay, let me make it bigger. Here is my positive and my negative. I'm going to remove these connections only to send the program. Then I'm going to send the program. I want to display the full screen because when we got the done uploading, that means that everything is okay. If we don't get done uploading, or in Spanish should be subido, that means that it's not ready and we need to wait. So as soon as we got this done uploading, we may be able to connect the power back, so black to GND and red to 5 volts. And then, as you can see, I got my 0 value and it changes to 1 value and go back to 0. And then if I put my hand, I got 6, 5, maybe 4, let me see, 3, 2. If I put it closer, I may get 6. Let me see if I can get a higher number. Maybe not, because of the sensitive of my sensor. 5, 6. Okay, you can play around, but the important is that you see how this value changes as long as you change. Okay, it's not visible. Let me move this, and here is my hand. So I change the position on my hand. You can see the shadow. So if I put it closer, I get a reading. If I put it farther, I get another reading. Yeah, so there it is. So you can play around, really easy. Analogical reading from my sensor, get this data and convert this data to control signals for my 7-segment display. And that's it. I hope this video was useful for you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, and see you the next time.